Today we're going to be doing Module 1, Lesson 18. The objective is to apply the distributive property to decompose units. The materials needed for today are your online whiteboard or your whiteboard dry erase marker and dry eraser. The teaching style we're going to follow is the I do it, we do it together, and then you do it on your own. We're going to start off with an application problem. A parking structure has 10 levels. There are 3 cars parked on each level. How many cars are parked in the structure? Go ahead on your whiteboard and solve the application problem following the RDW process. Read the problem, which we did together. Draw and label. Okay, so draw some sort of picture or tape diagram or array that helps you solve it. Write an equation, so you're going to write either a multiplication or division equation, depending on what you think it requires. And then write a word sentence answer. Go ahead and begin. Make sure that you message me your answer in GoGuardian so that I know that you are ready to move on. Okay, so let's go ahead and read over the problem again and solve. A parking structure has 10 levels. I'm going to circle 10. There are 3 cars parked on each level. I'm going to circle 3. How many cars are parked in the structure? So we're looking for the number of cars. Okay, let's go ahead and make our picture. When I read this, I think of an array, okay? And I'm going to draw an array that has 10 levels going down. And there's 3 cars on each level. So I'm going to start with the 3 cars on the top level. And then the 3 cars on the second level. The 3 cars on the third level. 4th level. 5th level. 6th level, 7th level, 8th level, 9th level, and finally on the 10th level of the parking structure. Okay, so this is showing 10 levels and 3 cars on each level. The question is, how many cars are parked in the structure? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with our equation. Right now we have 10 rows, so 10 rows of 3. So we ended up with a multiplication equation because we have an array and we don't know our total. And when our total is the unknown, we know that we're looking for a multiplication equation. So there's 10 rows of 3, and we're going to skip count by 3s to solve. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Well, 10 rows of 3 cars on each level gives us 30 cars total. But if you remember, we can't just leave it at that. We have to write our word answer. There are 30 cars parked in the structure. And there's the answer to our application problem. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Now we're moving into the part where we're learning new content. So I'm going to be showing you how to do it, and then I'm going to end up giving you a problem that you'll be doing. So problem 1, use the number bonds to decompose numbers and apply the distributive property. So over here on the left, over here on the left, I don't know. We have 7 rows of 3. Okay, and you see there's kind of this line here separating them. So what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and then below the line there's 1, 2 rows. So we've taken the 7 rows of 3 and broken it apart into 5 rows of 3 and 2 rows of 3. Okay, so let's look at what that looks like. Over here in our number bond, you see we have 10 threes. Okay, I'm sorry, not 10 threes. I had to change that. 7 threes. Okay, we have 7 threes, and we're going to break it down into 2 groups. Well, first, on top, we have 5 threes. Okay, because there's 5 rows of 3. And below the line, we have 2 threes, or 2 rows of 3. Well, then let's look at what this is down here. Down here, they just change it from 7 threes to 7 times 3, which we know is the same thing as 7 rows of 3. So that means that if we're looking at the top part is 5 rows of 3, and the bottom part is 2 rows of 3. Okay, so here's our number bond that we just did, with the 7 rows of 3 broken down into 5 rows of 3 and 2 rows of 3. Now we're going to make this into an equation, okay? We've broken it down. We're going to put it into an equation, and then we're going to solve it. So we're going to bring it back together. So first, you see it has blank times 3 plus blank times 3 equals blank times 3. Well, we know we're adding this part of the number bond to this part of the number bond, and that will equal this total part of the number bond. Okay, so that means that our 5 times 3 from this here plus our 2 times 3, okay, so we're just adding these two together, will equal our 7 times 3. And you can see 5 plus 2 equals 7, okay? So really we're taking down this 7, which is the 7 rows, and breaking it apart. Okay. So now we're going to have to solve. So we're doing 5 times 3, or 5 rows of 3. So we're going to count by 3s 5 times. Ready? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 5 times 3 equals 15. Now let's do 2 times 3. So we're going to count by 3s 2 times. 3, 6. So now we're adding 15 plus 6, okay? So we're adding on 6, so I'm going to put up 6 fingers. I'm going to start at 15. Ready? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 15 plus 6 equals 21, which means that 7 times 3 equals 21. Okay? So instead of skip counting by 3s 7 times, we broke it down into 2 parts, 5 times 3 and 2 times 3. We solved those equations, and then we put them together, okay? So we're really just decomposing it, which means breaking it apart and then putting it back together. So now let's go ahead and come to our next problem that you're going to be helping with. Use number bonds and the distributive property. So right now I have 10 times 3. So how many 3s? What are some ways we can break apart 10? Okay, so just looking at our 10 here, There are many different ways that we can solve for 10. So what I would like you to do is message me in GoGuardian 2 numbers that add up to 10. For example, 5 plus 5. 5 plus 5 equals 10, okay? Go ahead and message me, and it can't be 5 plus 5. Message me in GoGuardian 2 numbers that add up to 10, and I'll give you about 1 minute to give me that message. Okay, so there's many different options that you came up with. 7 plus 3, 6 plus 4, 2 plus 8, 1 plus 9, and then of course there's the flip-flop. This could have been 3 plus 7, 4 plus 6, 8 plus 2, or 9 plus 1. Okay, there's many different options for how we could break 10 apart. So what I have here is I have actually broken apart using my example, which was 5 plus 5 equals 10. So on top, I have 5 rows of 3, and on bottom, I have 5 rows of 3. So altogether, I have 10 threes, okay, which is the same as 5 threes plus 5 threes. Now, what I would like you to do on your whiteboard is I would like you to make this number bond down here on your whiteboard and fill in the blanks with the equations. Okay, so 10 times 3 is on top, so what numbers go in those 2 bottom circles? Go ahead and do that on your whiteboard. Okay, go ahead and hold up your whiteboards and show me those number bonds. All right, so what you should have had in your number bond was 5 times 3, or 5 rows of 3, and 5 rows of 3, right? Because we're doing the 5 plus 5, and we know that each row has 3, so that doesn't change. Now we're going to take that number bond and fill it in with our equation. So go ahead and write this with me. First, we have 5 times 3, which is this piece of the number bond. make sure you're writing it down, plus 5 times 3, which is this part of the number bond. So we're adding these two pieces together. And that equals 10 times 3, which is this part of the number bond. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve our 5 times 3. Counting by threes 5 times. Ready? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Well, we know that this 5 times 3 is also going to be 15. So we're adding 15 plus 15. If you would like, you can stack it and add it. You can just watch this part. You don't have to write it. 5 plus 5 is 10. So I'm going to put a 1 on the line and a 0 below. Okay. And then 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So 15 plus 15 is 30. Okay. Which means that 10 times 3 equals 30. Okay, now we are at the part where you will be working on your homework alone. It's going to be number 1 and 2. Okay, first up top here, you can see that you're matching. So you're going to match the number bond to the correct equation and draw a line. Okay, Cami is up and working today, so you should be able to do it in Cami. Go ahead and get started.